Welcome to our webinar on how to administer the MDI survey with your students. Today we will cover a bit of background on middle childhood development, and then some detail on the Middle Childhood Development Instrument, or MDI. Then we'll cover the steps to MDI administration and some suggestions for moving to action with MDI results. The Human Early Learning Partnership is an interdisciplinary research center at UBC. And by participating in this study, students are making a significant contribution to research in BC and across Canada. So we'd like to thank school staff and educators for their participation. Traditionally, much of the research on child development focused on the significance of both the early years and adolescent periods of development, while less was known about middle childhood, the years from ages 6 to 12. These middle years were viewed as a latency period or a phase of relative stability where development was less dramatic than at other stages. While recent research is highlighting that there are a number of critical changes occurring during this transitional period of human development. Cognitively, children are becoming more self-aware and more aware of others. Socially, children's worlds begin expanding as connections to peers become increasingly important. Academically, children begin receiving grades and are facing pressure to succeed. And physically, children are starting to enter puberty, which these changes are beginning to present themselves at younger ages than in the past. Dr. Kimberly Schonert-Reichel is HELP's director, and she's an applied developmental psychologist and professor in education at the University of British Columbia. She began her career as a teacher in middle school and high school. She's internationally recognized as an expert in the area of social and emotional learning research with children and adolescents. And I'll direct you to this video, which is available on the Human Early Learning Partnership YouTube channel, or through this link, which Kim goes over some of the highlights to social and emotional learning research, which serves as a foundation for the MDI. So the Middle Years Development Instrument is a population-based measure that helps us gain a deeper understanding of children's health and well-being during middle childhood. It's based on emerging research on middle years development and social and emotional well-being. The MDI captures how children are doing in the middle years at a population level. It's a strengths-based measure with a focus on the promotion of resiliency and protective factors. It was developed at UBC by a research team led by Dr. Kimberly Schonert-Reichel with input from children, parents, teachers, and community groups, including the United Way of the Lower Mainland. Questions were assembled from surveys previously used and validated with children. The MDI is measuring areas of development that are strongly linked to well-being, health, and academic achievement. And it's capturing development of the whole child, not limited to one aspect, but instead is measuring a number of domains including physical, mental, and emotional well-being in order to give us a full picture of the child. It's asking children about their experiences both inside and outside of school. It also upholds Article 12 of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, which emphasizes the importance of children's voices. Children fill out the MDI themselves online, and it's administered by teachers or principal during school hours. It takes approximately 1 to 2 class periods to complete. Why grade 4 and 7 students? These ages are particularly important to be able to prevent problems before they arise later in adolescence and adulthood. The time between grades 4 and 7 is a transitional period in development, in which we know there's an increased risk, but also an increased opportunity to make a difference. Previous research has also found that responses from children in grade 4 and above are as reliable and valid as responses from adults. The MDI is a population-based survey, which means it's telling us about groups such as neighborhoods, schools, or broader geographic regions. It allows us to see population trends in children's well-being. The MDI is not an individual or diagnostic measure, and it's not used to evaluate teachers or schools. All of this information is summed up in this brief introduction to the MDI video, again available on the Human Early Learning Partnership YouTube channel. We recommend sharing this with educators or other school personnel, as well as parents and others in the community as a good introduction to the MDI. In BC, we've had 28 school districts participate to date in the MDI, capturing the voices of over 43,000 grade 4 and grade 7 students. And in 2016, we've piloted the MDI survey in regions in the Northwest Territories, in Hamilton, Ontario, as well as in Nova Scotia. Now we'll talk about the MDI dimensions. The MDI uses a strengths-based approach to assess 5 dimensions of development. Research has shown that these 5 dimensions are strongly linked to well-being, health, academic achievement, and success throughout the school years and in later life. Social and emotional development includes optimism, self-esteem, happiness, empathy, measures of prosocial behavior, self-regulation, sadness, and worries, as well as additional measures for grade 7 students on decision-making, perseverance, assertiveness, and citizenship. Under and well-being, measures are capturing children's general health, their body image, mealtime, and sleep experiences, as well as physical and health conditions. Under connectedness, we're asking students about their connectedness to adults both at school, in the neighborhood, and at home, as well as their connectedness to peers. Use of after-school time is measuring students' involvement in after-school activities, both unstructured activities and free time activities, as well as the more structured and supervised activities. We also ask about who children are with and where they go after school, as well as their wishes for participation in after-school activities. And under school experiences, we ask students' perspectives on academic self-concept, school climate, school belonging, as well as victimization and motivation and future goals. Now, measures from these 5 dimensions are combined to make a well-being index, which is a combined score of 5 measures that are critical importance for the development of children's overall well-being, including happiness, health, optimism, self-esteem, and low sadness. So children across these 5 measures are categorized as either thriving, which means they're scoring high on most of these measures, medium, which is scoring not too high but not too low, and low well-being is scoring low on 1 or more of these measures of well-being. The Assets Index is a measure of key resources and influences that are present in children's lives that help promote positive development and resiliency. This includes supportive adult relationships to adults both at home, at school, and in the community. Positive peer relationships, so connectedness to groups of peers as well as individual friendships. Nutrition and sleep, including breakfast, meals with adults at home, and frequency of good sleep. And it also captures participation in after-school activities. So how are assets and well-being related? Children who are reporting a greater number of assets present in their life are also reported to be more likely to be experiencing thriving or high well-being on the MDI. So this is showing that assets and well-being are related on the MDI. So all of these measures are included in our MDI reporting. So we collect MDI and report at various different levels. Most relevant to you is the school reporting. So school reports include all of the responses to children participating in the school, separate reports for each grade. And these reports are internal, they're not released publicly. They're available in the new year and can be shared with school staff, teachers, and community partners at the discretion of school and school district administration. School and community reports are reporting on all of the children in the participating school district, as well as the results are also mapped by where children live according to their neighborhood or community. These results are made publicly available through our website on this address so that many different organizations and stakeholders can view the reports. We also have a guide to understanding the MDI results, which assists users in interpreting and applying their MDI results. It provides valuable background information about the MDI's dimensions and detailed information on the questions included on the survey. So we've worked with many different stakeholders in using the MDI data, including children, parents, educators, as well as a number of organizations and government agencies. So we encourage sharing and starting conversations with anyone who has a stake in how children are doing in their middle years. This next section highlights the details of how to administer the MDI with your students. The MDI can be administered by a teacher, principal, or other school administrator. Your role as survey administrator is critical in understanding the data collection process and in guiding your students carefully through the survey. So we'd like to take this time to say thank you so much for your interest and participation. So first off, the privacy of children, families, and teachers is paramount. We have research ethics approval from the Behavioral Research Ethics Board of University of British Columbia. So all the information that's collected through the MDI is kept confidential and used for approved research purposes only. Parents are informed, participation is voluntary, and consent is passive. No child or teacher is ever identified in our reporting. So more on the voluntary participation of the survey. The critical piece to understand at the school is that parents' letters must be sent home 4 weeks prior to the survey date. And parents or guardians can return a withdrawal form to the classroom teacher if they choose that they wish their child not to participate in the MDI. And students can also opt out anytime, even after they have completed the survey. So now covering the steps to preparation for MDI administration. So we recommend reviewing the MDI Survey Administration Guide and the instructional survey prior to administration. These materials are posted on the administrator's blog with the link here, as well as the EMDI website. The administration guide outlines the steps to administration in detail, which I will also cover in the upcoming slides. And the instructional survey is used on the day of MDI administration to assist teachers and principals in guiding students through the survey. Before the day of administration, we recommend logging on to the eMDI at mdi.ubc.ca to review class lists and print off student logins. So password reset emails are sent to teachers and principals at the end of October, early November, just before your school board's survey administration window. So through this email, you can create your own password and log in with your school district email address to the MDI website, which is shown here. So once you're logged in, on the left-hand side of the website is the Steps menu, and under Step 1 you can add and delete students. So if a student is missing from the class list that has been in your class for 30 days or more and the parent or guardian had received the letter, you can then click on Options and select Add Student and enter their information. Now if a child left the class or if a parent has chosen to withdraw their child from the study, we ask that you remove the child from the class list by selecting the child's name and then under Options, Edit, and Options, Delete. And there are more detailed instructions in the Administrator's Guide. Now under Step 2 on the left-hand sidebar, Unlock Survey and Print Passwords, you can print off the student passwords prior to the day of survey administration. Under this green button, Print Student Logins, and students can only log in when the survey is unlocked, which is this blue button. You can also preview the survey. So to print off the student logins, then you can then cut this page into strips to distribute to your individual students. We recommend informing the school counselor that the survey is taking place ahead of time in case anything arises for a student that they wish to speak further to the counselor about. Now, on the day of MDI administration, we recommend scheduling 1 to 2 class periods to administer the MDI. Grade 4 students usually need 2 class periods, and grade 7 students usually need 1 class period, the class period being around 45 to 50 minutes. We also recommend allowing for about 10 minutes for students to log into the survey. And the class periods can be back-to-back or on separate days. So Step 1 is to unlock the survey. This is to protect the security of student logins. They can only access the survey when it has been unlocked. This is the blue Unlock button. Once students are finished, please collect the student logins and then lock the survey again. So this prevents students from logging in outside of this session. And the survey will automatically lock after 4 hours. You can unlock the survey as often as needed. So to prepare the classroom and computer lab, we recommend preparing the setting under test conditions and having space between students if possible. Having a classroom set of headphones available, or providing headphones from students that may benefit from the survey voiceover function. So there's an icon beside each question where you can click to hear the question read aloud. And then please prepare work for students that are not participating that's related to regular classroom activity. Once the students are ready to log in, they visit the same website, mdi.ubc.ca, with their passwords. And then finally, to administer the survey, please use the instructional survey to guide your students. It is identical to the online survey, but includes additional instructions for administrators, including an assent script for you to read aloud before you start. The assent script describes what students will be doing and informs them that they can choose not to participate. Please read aloud the assent script so students understand the purpose of the survey, their confidentiality of responses, and that their participation is voluntary. After reading the assent script aloud, begin the survey by reading aloud the questions of the demographics section. Please tell us a bit about yourself, as well as the instructions section, and answering the sample questions together. After that, students can read the questions on their own and request assistance as needed. You may want to read aloud all of the questions to grade 4 students. The instructional survey also contains tips and instructions throughout the document on specific questions. While you are administering the survey, we ask that you remain neutral, refrain from making additional comments. And if a student asks for clarification, we recommend rereading the question, directing it at the individual student. And to ensure privacy and confidentiality, and to help students feel that their answers will be kept private, we ask that you don't look at students' responses, and we ask that students are not looking at others' responses as well. Because the questions are asking about students' lives, there is a student help request option following the survey. Students are asked whether they would like to talk to their teachers or principals about a problem they are having. If a student selects yes, that they would like help, an email is sent directly to the classroom teacher and principal with the name of the student that requested help. We do not see these student requests unless the email fails, and in that case we do follow up with the teacher or principal. And please follow your school's protocol for following up with the students. You don't need to let us know about the outcome. Participating teachers and principals have shared that these help requests are an opportunity to perhaps hear from a student that they may not have been aware was having a problem. And finally, we really appreciate your feedback on your experience with the MDI, and we collect feedback and review it each year to improve our training, the MDI process, and try to make everything easier for teachers and administrators. So the link is here, and it's also included in your MDI administration guide. Now I'll off with a couple of suggestions for when you're working with data. We recommend reviewing your MDI report with as many people as possible, including children's, parents, educators, school administrators, other school and city staff, and your local early or middle childhood communities. Increasing this local dialogue on the importance of child well-being is an excellent way to start improving outcomes for students. The MDI also provides a lot of rich data, and it can be easy to feel overwhelmed by all of the potential ways that schools, communities, and governments could begin working with the data. So moving to action can be more successful if you can focus your efforts on a couple of areas for improvement. We've also heard success from schools and communities involving children as much as possible, both in the interpretation of the data, but in also exploring opportunities to collect feedback on how children would recommend the school and community can better serve their needs. We also have an MDI Toolkit, which we are evolving to have more resources in the new year. This toolkit is a source of information for schools and communities to both view additional resources to help them work with their data and share their data, as well as to share stories and connect with other communities to learn more about how others are working with the MDI and supporting well-being in the middle years. So throughout this process of MDI administration, we're here at HELP to assist you if you have any questions through this email or the local or long-distance toll-free number. You can also view our website where these additional